Hi everybody. So here we are. We're going to now use channels to colorize this photo. Now a few things that you may want to do as you're doing this is make sure that you have channels on, make sure you have Navigator on so you can see, always see a preview of where you are. And so one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to smooth this image, okay? So we're going to go to Select, we're going to go to Modify, and we're going to choose Smooth, all right? And it'll give us a choice of how many pixels we want to smooth at. And I think that probably just a couple is pretty good. That seemed to work pretty well when I did a dry run of this. So let's go with 2. And what that does is it helps smooth the edges when we are making changes to the image, okay? And so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over here and show you that you know, you have your color and so forth. You have your RGB, like I mentioned in the last movie, okay? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something a little different than the book shows, okay? Because the book shows that the Refine Edge button shows up on the screen, but it really doesn't, okay? When you have these selection tools chosen, okay, there's a button over here that's called Select and Mask, okay? And what that does is it gives you all of the different pieces that perhaps are part of this image. So for example, this is the overlay, and it's the red part is the part where nothing is going to be modified, okay? It's the background, if you will, and the only thing that would be modified would be this part, okay? Now, your book says that there's a button, but there isn't, okay? So what you'd have to do is you'd have to use this brush over here, which is the Refine Edge brush tool, if you wanted to manually go refine all these edges, okay? But instead, let's do this. Let's go to the overlay, okay, and we'll select that. Good. And what if we do a little, just a slight bit of edge detection? Watch what happens to the red area, okay? It gets much softer. It gets smaller, okay? So let's just do a little bit here. We don't want to overdo it, okay? So that's pretty good, okay? And you can see over here, some of these edges got a little softer, and that's exactly what we want, okay? Then what we want to do also, on the part that we're going to modify, we'll click there, is we're just going to smooth that just a little bit, okay? And a little bit goes a long way here, so don't do too much, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to say okay to that, all right? And that gives us our modified channel, okay? And what I'd like to have you do is I'd like you to make a duplicate of this, okay? And again, we make duplicates because when we are making changes, we want to make sure that we are saving different versions as we go along, okay? It's not unusual when I'm doing something to have a half a dozen to a dozen different saved versions that are different steps along the way, just to make sure if I need to get back to a certain point, I can do that, okay? So let's go ahead and we'll save that, okay, as car selection, all right? And let's go ahead and let's save this TIFF, okay? like it says in the book. Okay, we're going to call that Sports Car Selections. Okay. And that's what you're going to be uploading for me to D2L. Okay, so I'd like to be able to see that you actually got all of those different different file versions. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the main event. Okay, the thing that we did all of this for anyway. So let's go ahead and let's close this one. Okay, and I'm going to say no to that because we already made our modifications to sportscar_selections. Okay, and let's go ahead and load our selection. Okay, so there we have it, and sure enough we should have all of our selections in with the mask. If we go to the overlay again, we can see that that it's ready to go. But I see that also it didn't save. It's a small thing. It's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and let's just pump up the edge detection, the radius just a little bit, okay, and soften it. It's not a big deal. You know, you see, you check your work and you see that something needs to be redone. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and just redo it. Okay? So we'll say okay to that, and we're going to be ready with our image to colorize. Okay, so we'll be using the hue saturation command. Okay, and so we have our selection loaded. Okay, and we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. Okay, now as shown in the book, what we're going to do is we're going to set hue to 40, and I can either use the slider, but in this case I want to be more precise, so I'll change hue to 40, I'll change saturation to 55, and I'll change lightness to -5. Okay, and that's what's shown in the book. Okay, we need colorize to be clicked. If you don't, you saw the car kind of turns purple. So let's do that again with the colorize button selected. All right, we'll go hue 40. We'll do saturation 55, and we'll do lightness -5. Okay. Now I'll tell you honestly, I kind of preferred the car with its purple, its purple color. Okay, so what happens if we undo that and then we redo that? You can see that the purple is pretty nice. If you feel like uploading a different color, go ahead and do that. But for now, I'll go ahead and I'll say okay to that. And you can see that we're well on our way. If I was doing this really for production and not trying to keep it fast for the video, I would definitely do some cleanup over here on this wheel well. I would join the colors of the body much better. I would clean this up so that that bumper was highlighted. And that's what I mean about, this is an art form. And so it's important for you to take that image and do a really nice job before you get to this point so that you don't discover, oh my gosh, I need to redo all this. Okay, so I think that covers it for this. Good luck, and I know you're going to do great. If you feel like making the car a different color and submitting that other than this somewhat unusual gold color, I'm open to that. I'm very interested to see what kind of color you would like to see on this car. Thanks. Bye.